The Battle of Britain, when the sky became the front line. By the summer of 1940, Nazi Germany had swept through Western Europe with terrifying speed. Poland had fallen. France had surrendered. The Low Countries lay in ruins. Only one major power stood between Adolf Hitler and total domination of the West, Great Britain. What followed was a confrontation unlike any before it. A battle not fought on the ground, but in the skies above. The Battle of Britain would determine the fate of the free world and mark the first time Hitler's ambitions would be decisively checked. Operation Sea Lion. After France's surrender in June 1940, Hitler turned his gaze toward Britain. His plan, codenamed Operation Sea Lion, required Germany to establish air superiority over the English Channel. Without control of the skies, an amphibious invasion would be suicide. And so, Hermann Göring's Luftwaffe was tasked with crushing the Royal Air Force, what seemed to the Germans a final, decisive blow. But Britain would prove far more resilient than expected. The underdog RAF. At the outset, the odds seemed dire. The Luftwaffe fielded over 2,500 aircraft, many of them seasoned from the Blitzkrieg campaigns. The RAF, by contrast, had just over 600 frontline fighters, including the iconic Spitfire and the more numerous but rugged Hurricane. Pilots were young, many barely out of school, flying 3 or even 5 missions a day. Britain had fewer men, fewer planes, and no margin for error. But what it did have was heart, strategy, and radar. Radar and the doubting system. One of Britain's secret weapons was a doubting system, an integrated defense network that combined radar stations, ground observers, and centralized control rooms. This allowed the RAF to know when and where enemy planes were coming, directing fighters precisely where they were needed. It was the world's first modern air defense system, and it gave Britain a crucial edge in the skies. Germany's tactical mistake. Initially, the Luftwaffe focused on RAF airfields and radar installations, smart, strategic targets. But after a retaliatory British raid on Berlin, Hitler changed course. Enraged, he ordered massive bombing raids on London and other cities. This shift, known as the Blitz, was intended to break British morale. Instead, it gave the RAF breathing room. German bombers now flew deeper into enemy territory, more exposed, with longer flight times, and Britain's fighters seized the opportunity. The Few and Churchill's speech. Throughout the chaos, RAF pilots earned legendary status. They became known as the Few, immortalized by Winston Churchill's iconic words. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. They came not just from Britain, but from across the Commonwealth, from Poland, Czechoslovakia, even the United States. Together, they fought with ferocity and courage, defending their island home from annihilation. Strategic outcome. By late October 1940, it was clear Germany had failed to break the RAF. Operation Sea Lion was postponed indefinitely and never revived. Britain had survived. The Battle of Britain was the first major defeat of Nazi Germany, and it changed the course of the war. For the first time, Hitler had been stopped, not by a superior army, but by a nation's defiance and a few hundred pilots in the sky. The Battle of Britain was more than an air campaign. It was a statement. It proved that Hitler was not invincible. It bought time for the Allies to regroup, and it preserved a vital foothold of freedom in Western Europe. Had Britain fallen in 1940, the future of the world might have looked very different. The sky over southern England became the front line, and the RAF made sure it would not be crossed. The Battle of Britain was not just a victory of technology or tactics. It was a triumph of spirit. It showed that even when isolated and outgunned, a free people could resist tyranny. It was a turning point, not a conquest, but a survival. And from the ashes of those burning cities and battle-scarred skies, a new hope began to rise.